Episode 10 and the final episode of Season 2 of ECig 101, and this is basically general advice before you go shopping for one of these or one of these. So, you've just watched all of the previous 9 episodes of Season 2. You have a fair idea if you're going to go down the road of an AIO or you're going to go down the road of a dual or single battery box mod. But you're looking for a little bit more advice. What I can say to you is, what you're going through right now is the same thing that countless millions. You remember there is something like 3.1 to 3, the number bounces up and down, but it's anywhere between 3.1 to 3.5 million vapers in the UK, tens of millions across Europe and millions across the world. Everyone's went through the same thing. They are moving away from mouth to lung. They're moving away from starter kits, and they're making the big leap into what is essentially the mainstream centre of the vaping market. Research. That's what it comes down to. What I would suggest to you is, if you're going after a certain AIO, don't go after that single AIO and have tunnel vision, like I will only buy the Orion 2, or I will only buy the lightsaber from Dovebolt. Make a list. Make a list of 4 or 5 AIOs that take your fancy. The same thing goes for these big fellas, your stock coil sub-ohm tank kit. Don't go, I will only go for the Valerian 3 kit, or I will only go for the latest Geek Vape kit. Make a list of 3 or 4 stock coil sub-ohm tank kits. And then what you do is make use of people like me. These things are released onto the market generally after they get released as samples to people like myself, to reviewers on YouTube, to written reviewers on sites like ECig Click UK. They're written reviewers though. Research. Get a list of 4 or 5 AIOs that take your fancy, or 4 or 5 stock coil sub-ohm tank kits that take your fancy, and have a look at the reviews. And don't just take my word for it. And I always say this when it comes to the reviews on this channel. Don't just take my word for it. Look at 3 or 4 reviews for the same kit. It's easy enough. I mean, Mike Vapes, Flat Cap Vapor here in the UK. Who is it? Mike Vapes, Flat Cap Vapor. Grim Green to a certain extent in the United States. There is a number of very well-known UK and US reviewers that generally get sent the items all at the same time. I happen to be later at bringing the reviews out than a lot of other people, because with me, there's a shelf I need to review full up there, and okay, a lot of it's pods, but I generally get sent a lot of pods in to review, and because of the amount of pod kits that get sent in, the bigger kits, it takes a good 2 or 3 weeks before you start to see a review of something new come out in this channel, but eventually the review does come out. But it's all about research. Look at the reviewers. What is their negative points? What is their good points? And the big trick is this. If you see more than half of the reviewers that you are looking at all complain about the same issues, then that's a problem with the kit. It's a problem with the kit. Each reviewer has their own spin on what they like, and each reviewer, no matter how much they say this, each reviewer is biased. I have a bias towards mouth-to-lung tanks. I've always had a bias towards mouth-to-lung tanks. I have a bias towards lower wattage stock coil sub-ohm tanks. I am not a fan of the higher wattage stock coilers. I never have been, never will be. Every reviewer's got their own specific bias when it comes to mods, when it comes to tanks. But if half of those reviewers, or more than half of those reviewers, are picking out a problem, and it's the same problem, score that AIO or that stock coil sub-ohm tank kit off of your list. However, if those reviewers are coming up with what I like to call niggling points, something that annoys them individually, and none of the reviewers are coming up with an all-encompassing problem that all of the reviewers are talking about, then you can keep that tank or that AIO or that stock coil sub-ohm tank kit on your list. Again, Every reviewer's got their own bias. You've got to do the research first before you decide on what kit to buy. Second thing, shop around. Once you've got your short list of what to get, shop around. I always say buy from your local brick and mortar first before you buy online. But the odds are for some of these kits, like for instance the LVE Orion 2, this thing I've got here, the AIO, for some of these kits, there it is, you won't find this in a brick and mortar. And if you do find it in a brick and mortar, it's not going to be one of the big ones like VPZ or Totally Wicked. It will probably be in an independent brick and mortar shop. And not all towns and cities in the UK has an independent brick and mortar shop, because normally what tends to happen is if there's an independent shop, VPZ opens straight across the road from them, undercuts that brick and mortar indie shop, and that indie shop generally tends to shut down. This town here, which is Irvine, on the west coast of Scotland that I live in, we're actually lucky enough to have 3 vape shops in a town of only 30,000. We've got VPZ, who's right on the cross. We've got an independent shop across the road that generally deals in pods. They've got a fucking huge liquid line in there though. And we've got Prime Vapor, who's in the, well, at least the last time I checked, they were in the Rivergate shopping centre. So I've got a good spread, 3 vape shops. I've got a good spread of vape shops here in this town. Glasgow, 30 miles north of me, there's like 6 vape shops in one street, Union Street, just off of Central Station. At least there was 6 vape shops the last time I checked. So it depends where you are. You might be unlucky enough though to have only 1 vape shop, and it's probably going to be a VPZ. Probably going to be a VPZ. You're not going to find your Orion 2 there. Where you will find it is online. Sites like Vaping 101, sites like ECig 1 in the UK, they generally tend to be the next port of call. If you can't get your favourite kit or the kit on your shortlist at a brick and mortar, you've got to buy it online. And the only 2 shops I would really buy from right now is the shops that have been on the go for a very, very long time. Well, 3. You've got Vaping 101, who are based up here in Scotland. You've got ECig 1, who are based down south. And you've got Evolution Vaping. Yeah. Is that the name of them? Evolution? No, Exception was the liquid company that's doing my liquids. Yeah, it's Evolution Vaping, I think they're called. But the long-running vape shops that have got a really, really good customer base, if you can't find it at the brick and mortar, look online. It's as simple as that. But make sure the online shop that you're buying from is a long-running shop that's got a lot of good reviews either on Facebook or on Trustpilot, because there's some long-running online shops that are basically drop shippers. In other words, it looks as if you're buying from a local UK company, but that local UK company does not hold any stock, and they're shipping from China, which means you don't get your kit for 2 weeks instead of getting it in 48 hours. Because a lot of these companies like ECig 1, Vaping 101 and Evolution Vaping generally do give you the offer of 48 or 24-hour shipping. So look at that the next time you're ordering. If you don't get that option of at least 48-hour shipping, they're a drop shipper. Close that window and go and order off someone else. The next thing you need to look out for when you get your kit is look at the manual. I know it's stupid me saying that, but it would surprise you the amount of people that don't read the fucking manual when they get their kit. Read the manual, because these kits, even this little AIO's got little menu screens on them. Just like this big fella's got menu screens on this. And all of these menu systems work completely different from each other, because each manufacturer are making their own boards, own chips and own screens. You've got to read the manual, at least how to get wattage set up off the go so you can actually start vaping on it the minute you pull it out the box, right? So that's the next thing you need to look out for. And that basically covers it, folks. Once you've bought the item, once you've read the manual, the only thing you need to do next is fill the tank up, let the coil soak there for a good 3 or 4 minutes and start vaping away. And generally speaking, where you bought the kit from, whether it's online or whether it's a brick and mortar, that brick and mortar is bound to be selling the coils for your particular AIO or stock coil tank, and that online shop is also bound to be selling the coils for the particular AIO you've got or the particular tank. So go back to the same place that you bought the kit from to get your coils. That way you're giving that place repeat custom to keep their shop going. And I think that basically covers it, folks. I think it really does. There are numerous Facebook groups, like the Facebook group for Vaping with Vic. You can find it down in the description under the Linktree link. All the social media links is in there. There are numerous Facebook groups out there that are set up for people that are having little niggling issues with their kit. The best advice I could give you to keep going on the journey that you're going is basically visit one of these Facebook groups. Visit one of the Facebook groups. The bulk of what you see in one of the bigger Facebook groups are the people that are in the mainstream, the people that are using the AIOs, the people that are using the stock coil sub-ohm tank kits. And if you've got any questions or need any help or advice, Facebook groups is usually the first port of call for a lot of people out there. The link to the Vaping with Vic Facebook group is in the Linktree description, in the Linktree link down in the description. And I think that basically covers it for Season 2. Now, there is going to be about a week to a week and a half break, and then Season 3 is going to kick off. And Season 3 is all going to be about this. It's going to be about liquids, and more importantly, it's going to be about nicotine, because the big question mark is all about the nicotine that you get inside your e-liquid. And the middle 3 episodes of Season 3 were all recorded over at Chemnovatic in Lublin in Poland in October of last year. And Season 3 is going to be concentrating on the business side of things, the industry side of things, what is the nicotine variants, the 4 different types of nicotine salts, plus freebase nicotine, the different flavours that Chemnovatic make. And to wrap up Season 3, for the final 2 episodes, I'm going to be mixing an e-liquid here in the studio. And at the very beginning of Season 3, either in Episode 1 or Episode 2, in the description of either one of those episodes, there's going to be a shopping list. So if you want to mix along with what I'm doing on camera, the shopping list is going to be there along with links, so you can buy what I'm going to be using and mix your 100ml bottle of whatever. It's probably going to be something fruity. Strawberry milkshake or something. It's probably going to be something, because I like fruity vapes, it's probably going to be something fruity, so keep an eye out for that in Episode 1 and Episode 2 of Season 3, which should be starting in round about a week and a half to 2 weeks' time. I want a little bit of a break between the seasons. Anyway, that is it for me, folks. Hopefully, I see you at the beginning of Season 3, and have a good one.